Mr. Walker, my question is similar to the young lady's question. Difference being is that the motorist that hit me was driving a stolen car from a rental company, and he wasn't insured, no license. So what should be my course of action?
Well, that's going to be a little bit different question. It's a little tougher to answer because we'd have to know more about the circumstances. If the rental car company was negligent in allowing that person to steal the car or had their permission to drive the car, yes, they're liable. It's their negligence that caused that person to be on the road. However, if this fella perhaps jumped a fence and stole a car, that's a little bit different. And that's not a question that I really have an immediate ready answer for you. And I would have to evaluate the claim and see what's going on there and dig a little further into that one. You know, lawyers don't always have an immediate and ready answer for you. And I think it's important for us to know that sometimes we have to go back in and check things out and research questions like that. Not everybody has that pop right off the spot answer. But in my estimation, if the rental car company was negligent, or if they knew that there was a chance that that vehicle could be taken and they weren't secure in their actions, yes, indeed, they would be responsible for that driver's actions.
It's the kind of perfect scenario that where you need to make sure you're fully covered no matter what happens.
Absolutely. Again, there's another situation where uninsured motorist coverage would have taken care of you. So do not just accept the minimum limits of liability and collision. Please go out there and get underinsured and uninsured motorist coverage.
All right, I think we have another question. Yes, go ahead.
Jim, I had an auto accident with a vehicle that I was leasing. When I took it back to the dealership, they told me that they didn't want the car and it's worth less than what I thought it would be. So what do I do?
Yeah, this is what happens. A lot of times the vehicles are damaged so badly and they're still repairable that they're never worth what they were after they were fixed. In other words, the lease car company doesn't want that previously wrecked vehicle back or the repaired vehicle back because it's worth less money than it's supposed to be if you returned it without having been in an accident. And you're entitled to a diminished value for that, because that vehicle is worth less now than it was before the accident, even after it's fixed. Again, another reason why gap insurance would have come in handy in this case, but you're also entitled to a diminished value from the defendant's insurance company. In other words, the fellow who hit you, the person who hit you, his insurance company for diminished value.
I think a lot of people think that if they have insurance and they total their car, the insurance company is going to pay their car off, but that's not the way it happens.
No, it's not. Unfortunately, that is not true. And more, and I see clients that owe more on their car than the car is actually worth. And boy, there's nothing more disconcerting than to have a horrible accident, be without your vehicle because it's totaled out, and then find out that you still owe $2,000 or $3,000 on the car that you don't even have anymore. Mm-hmm. You know, it's bad enough to zero out at it, but what do? You have no down payment, you still owe money on the other car, so what most people do is they end up in another deal where they add that to the price of a new car, and they're even further upside down in a new vehicle. It's a very unfortunate situation, and gap insurance would help with that a great deal. It would clear that. It would clear the slate at least.
All right, let's go back out to the audience for another question. Yes, what's your question?
Mr. Walker, is it true what I heard that the insurance companies are wanting to put insurance caps on all claims as well as medical malpractice?
Well, unfortunately, that is true. I believe the legislature is currently working on adding other claims to those all others that they put in the law in Proposition 12, House Bill 4. And I do believe they plan to add more claims to that, other items, other claims to their caps. They capped out medical malpractice, as we all know, at $250,000, and I think they plan. The intention is to cap every other claim out there, which is why I think it's important for people to call their representatives and say, no, enough is enough. Enough is enough. You capped med-mal. Insurance rates have gone up, claims are down, rates are up, and I don't think it's necessary for you to handicap and limit our juries any further. and limit my rights anymore. We know what happened now. We understand what's happened to us now. I don't want you to go any further with this. It's just not fair. It's just not fair.
I think we have time for one final question. Yes, go ahead.
Hello, Mr. Walker. I have several friends that are in law school, and we're cracking law jokes all the time. But I wanted to get your opinion. Do you think that lawyers will sue anyone for anything?
Well, I'll tell you now that that's not true. Boy, it's expensive to have lawsuits. It costs a lot of money to file them, it costs a lot of money to bring them, and it costs a great deal of money to get them there. And no lawyer in his right mind is going to take a frivolous claim or is going to proceed with a claim that's not genuine or doesn't have merit. We filter out cases all day long at my office, as do other lawyers all over the country and all over this city, certainly. I can tell you now that no, lawyers don't file suit on everything. But you know where you probably got that misconception is that in the media, they do portray lawyers as filing suit on anything and everything. And they do cover these big stories where the jury awards were just outrageous, high, and fantastic. They don't tell you, however, about the cases where the awards were minimal, minuscule, and they don't tell you about the claims that were never brought, that were valid and meritorious claims that people just didn't bring, or that were discarded, or that the insurance companies got out of extremely cheap. They don't tell you those stories because that's just not good news. Just not good news. No, lawyers don't file suit and file claims for everything under the sun. And folks, sometimes accidents happen and things happen to you in life, and there is no claim. If you trip over your own feet at the grocery store or your shopping buggy wheels, sometimes things just happen and nobody's really to blame. And injuries just occur. I mean, if you bump your head in the parking lot, or if your son bumps his head on the playground or gets a scratched knee, come on. There are things that sometimes things just happen in life, and there's not a claim behind it. And for the most part, people know that. And for 100% part, lawyers know that.